Pidimian satisfaction on the LMS utilized by Pambayang Dalubhasaan ng Marilao as its online learning platform in the time of pandemic. Introduction.
According to CN to 2021, the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic poses significant challenge to the global education system. By July 2020, the UN Ethical, Scientific, and Cultural Organizations to 2020 reported a nationwide school closure in the third countries affected over 1.7 billion students, which around 61% of global students of populations. The challenge of online education include poor network service, lack of power supply, high fees, lack of direct teaching learning, and a poor computer compliance and literacy level. For sure, internet access is the main problem and challenge. Anxiety, depressions, and affordable home learning environment.
According to Lecture Learning 2020, face-to-face classes are not permitted as COVID-19 pandemic begins. It impacts the education system of all schools. Nobody expected that in today's situation, students and teachers would use the internet for online classes. But then, there is a software known as learning management systems that is become useful and widely used by teachers and students nowadays, such as Google Classroom, MS Teams, and other example of learning management system. The current COVID-19 crisis has obliged most education systems to adopt alternative to face-to-face teaching and learning. Many education systems move alternative online to allow instruction to continue teaching despite school closures. Since COVID-19 arises, face-to-face classes have been banned due to the danger for teachers and students. Many of us don't like it because it is difficult to learn. But students, given a way to learn the lesson. Online learning management system is the solution. There are suggested learning management system that the school may use to be the learning platforms for the students to have an access Word, Google Classrooms, and other online learning platforms that can be used. Online schooling has been an important tool to sustain skills development during school closures.
According to CDK and Masud, 2012, as these technological changes start, improvements in education have become possible. And with this time of pandemic, the learning management system is being used by every school today. However, many students find it difficult to use learning management system as an online learning platform during the pandemic, and they question the credibility of the learning management system on how it will help the students in their studies because students prefer face-to-face classes over online learning, which will provide them with a variety of challenges. But since the pandemic is still ongoing, students have no choice but to use learning management system by the start of online learning until now. It will also help them to learn, to communicate with their teachers, nor classmates as it is their material, and it will help them to study during this pandemic when everyone should stay at home.
Hence the purpose of study to have idea to using applications as an online learning platform that is effective to easy to use not for the student online learning but also for the teachers online teaching.
Theoretical framework.
The EDT theory or the expectancy disconfirmation theory developed by Richard L. Oliver. This theory assumed that expectation, disconfirmation, and perceived performance influence customer satisfaction. This theory designed for customer to have prediction before purchasing the goods. Expectation are strong beliefs of a customer that will happen to a product or service that they will get. Perceived performance. The perception of how the customer is performing can have more impact on the customer. Disconfirmation occurs when the performance is considered to be better or lower than predetermined expectation. Lastly, the satisfaction. How the customer is satisfied or contented to their product or service received. According to Anderson and Sullivan, the satisfaction involves comparison of prior expectations and performance outcome. The customer's perception of overall satisfaction results from the comparison between expectation and performance. Therefore, expectation and performance are two important variables that can influence the satisfaction of customers. Based on this theory, a company can increase satisfaction by increasing perceived product performance or lowering expectation.
That said, theory is being related to the study we bound to conduct considering one's expectation to the pedemian's satisfaction prior to the different experiences to the LMS as the online learning platform. The theory relates in one's belief of the pedemian's satisfactions and relates to the different occurrence of LMS in online learning platform. This, in turn, will reassure their progress in their courses. This can also create milestones which students need to achieve step by step to ensure that they are right on track with the course progressions. EDP model is bound to use by the researchers as a way to identify how the performance of the PDM's online learning platform affect the student satisfaction towards the online learning that educational department suggested to do to continue the schooling of student in time of the pandemic. Participants of the study.
The researchers used a stratified random sampling technique to get the desired participants of the study. The reason why the researchers used stratified sampling technique in choosing the respondents is because the epidemians has a large population. Smaller population might show more accurate result considering it's easily monitored and also saves the time that the researchers will spend in data gathering. There are a total of 60 students among each year level from 3 courses in Pambayang Dalubhasaan ng Marilao or PDM were chosen to be the respondents of this study. 20 from the College of Hospitality and Tourism Management or CHTM, Bachelor of Computer Science or CCS, and Bachelor of Science in Office Administration or OWAD. 5 each year level are randomly selected through stratified sampling. The participants should be enrolled to their course. They should be using the Learning Management System or LMS utilized by the school and also should be registered students in PDM. The researchers focus on the students that are using the LMS as their online learning platform utilized by the Pambayang Dalubhasaan ng Marilao in its time of pandemic.
Results.
Table 1 shows the level of expectation of PDMians on the LMS utilized by Pambayang Dalubhasaan ng Marilao as its online learning platform. Among the 7 attributes, PDMians has the highest expectation on the user-friendliness and accessibility of instructional materials of LMS because of both attained highest weighted mean average of 4.28 and interpreted as good. However, PDMians has the lowest expectation on integrity of LMS as evidence of its attained lowest weighted mean average of 4.0, which orally evaluated and interpreted as good. Generally, PDMians is anticipating or planning to adopt a good learning management system with giving respect to the attributes listed in the table as reflected by its overall weighted mean average of 4.15 and verbally interpreted as good.
Table 2 shows PDMians' perception of the LMS being utilized by Pambayang Dalubhasaan ng Marilao as its online learning platform. Out of the 7 attributes, the accessibility of the instructional material got the highest weighted mean of 4.27, which is verbally interpreted as good. This shows that PDMians appreciate the use of instructional material given by the instructors despite knowing the use of MS Team. Meanwhile, the lowest weighted mean is 3.88, which is the clarity of instructional delivery via the internet, which is verbally interpreted as good. This shows that PDMians are having a hard time understanding the lesson because of the loss or unstable internet affecting their performance in class. Generally, all variables are somewhat influential as reflected in the overall weighted mean of 4.10, which is verbally interpreted as good, showing that the students are able to study efficiently despite the challenges they encounter in distance learning.
Table 3 show PDMians' level of satisfaction on the LMS utilized by Pambayang Dalubhasaan ng Marilao as its online learning platform.
The table shows two results. First one is the computed level of satisfaction, which is based on R.L. Oliver's theory. Based on the computed level, the highest weighted mean shows 4.1 and the verbal interpretation is highly satisfied, which is the accessibility of instructional materials by each student. Highest result is the assessment integrity with a weighted mean of 0.20, with the verbal interpretation of dissatisfied. In spite of that, interaction with instructors and classmates has the lowest weighted mean of negative 0.05, with the verbal interpretation of satisfied. The overall result of the computed weighted mean that PDMians are dissatisfied with a weighted mean of 0.07, which is verbally interpreted as dissatisfied. However, the other one was survey. Survey weighted mean is 4.12 and the verbal interpretation is highly satisfied, which is the accessibility of instructional materials by where each student believes that is provide all the knowledge the student in online learning that is being implemented today. However, the lowest result is the clarity of the instructional delivery via internet, with an weighted mean of 3.87, with a verbal interpretation of satisfied, which is some of the student experiencing the slow connection. The student cannot easily connect with the instructors. The overall result shows that the PDMians are highly satisfied with their experience in using the learning management system as it was user-friendly and give clear communication between the teacher and the student, which is listed in the table as reflected by an overall weighted mean of 4.01, which is verbally interpreted as highly satisfied.
Table 4 for hypothesis testing. Step 1. Null hypothesis. Mu1 equals to mu2, and the second is alternative hypothesis. Mu1 not equals to mu2. Step 2. Since the level of significance is equals to 0.5 and the test is two-tailed, the number of ordered pairs is 20 subtract to 1 is equals to 19, and the critical value is equals to positive negative 2.093. Step 3. Using t-test to compute for the test value, and the test value was obtained 0.66. For step 4, since the test value is 0.66 falls under the non-rejection region, do not reject the null hypothesis. And the step 5, there is no significant difference between the level of satisfaction of the CCS and OAD students on the LMS as their online learning platform that utilized by Pambayang Dalubhasaan ng Marilao.
Conclusion.
In overall result, PDMians are satisfied on using the LMS utilized by Pambayang Dalubhasaan ng Marilao as its online learning platform. PDMians' level of satisfaction resulted to a highly satisfied with their experience in using the LMS as it was user-friendly and gives clear communication between the teacher and the students.